Hi everybody, this is Astrosagas for Latinx.com with Cristy Road. Cristy, buenas, ¿cómo estás?
Buenas.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Cristy Road, and I am an illustrator and a musician and a writer. I'm a Gemini.
Géminis.
Géminis de Miami. Juanita de Miami.
That's right.
Mi español es bien cuichonería.
El mío está como en el medio.
And yeah, I've started zines in the 90s. And then that kind of like snowballed into graphic novels, and I was in the punk scene and writing about punk, and that turned into writing about trauma and pain and identity and all these intense things. And I write songs, and but they're the same. It's about the same things. You read my books and the songs. Yeah, and then so the most recent project is my first non-memoir, which is the Next World Tarot. It's a tarot deck kind of envisioning this other world based on radical love and resilience and revolution and like ways that we can elevate each other and respect each other and show up for each other. It's following the tradition. There's swords and cups and pentacles but yeah, there's a few changes, but I think just the bigger change is just the representation of genders and bodies and cultures and people. But I drew mostly people in my community and people that I look up to. One of my favorite was Jenny Set Gutierrez was doing a talk at Yale.
Nice.
And I'm just like...
Jenny Set?
Yes. Yes, and I'm like... And she finished and I'm like, can I take your picture for my tarot deck? And so she is the messenger card.
Yes. And so Jenny Set Gutierrez is, again, the person that stood behind Obama with the sign that was like free trans prisoners.
The civil rights of LGBT Americans is... Yeah, hold on a second. Okay, you know what?
But I'm also just really excited to have Cristy Road here because ever since, so I was like a young little queer punk from Miami, moved here to San Francisco, and everybody would be like, have you heard of Cristy Road? Because it was like the only other person that anybody had heard of that was from Miami, and I looked up all your art, and I was such a fan. So I'm just really happy to have you here, so thank you. And we're gonna start doing your chart.
Oh,
here we go.
give me you.
I really love thinking about the tarot deck with your chart in particular because you have that Venus in Aries that we've already talked about a bit. So you're a Venus in Aries, yes. And that Venus in Aries is actually in the 11th house, which is the house of community. And so I feel like with that in the 11th house and your sun, which is in Gemini, Géminis, in the 12th house, there's really a lot about like devoting your work to the community and to really centering other people. And I feel like the Venus in Aries really helps you go and find other people that you want to like center and be in your work. But you feel like your feelings are always on display with this Cancer rising happening here.
I think the older I get, the more I am an evolved Cancer rising. Or I don't know, I think my whole life I've been slowly cultivating the like display of the feelings. Like I'm a Gemini also, and you know, if I'm annoyed or if I'm sad, or I will be expressing those emotions in a way that might make people uncomfortable. But like I think that the evolved Cancer is, I don't know, maybe I was an evolved
can you explain
Cancer.
to me what the evolved Cancer is?
I just feel like it's not fucking up because of holding on to stuff and nostalgia and like reinventing things that felt like home, and not seeing that like the home aspect and the security aspect is like kind of a bullshit thing that was the one good part of something shitty.
I believe you're gonna get there.
I think I do romanticize being like having the mind of a person who's in their late 80s. Like I love that idea, and I love
of someone who just like doesn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, who's just like very wise and very calm, and I'm just like, I want to be a Taurus. And like the more I grow, the more I learn how to cultivate this like that same energy of being calm and secret, and pacing myself, learning how to pace myself. But you know, Venus in Aries, it's like, what's the point?
Well,
Pacing myself.
The interesting thing about your chart is you've got this North Node in the first house, and you have Venus in Aries. So that's kind of a double, because you know the first house is Aries.
I don't know about the houses.
Let me tell you a little bit about it. So the first house is the house of Aries, naturally. It's like the will and the drive and the self, you know, and the ego. And so you have your North Node there. So that's lightweight, kind of like having a North Node in Aries as well, because it combines first house with Cancer, North Node. And so a North Node in Aries or a North Node in first house is actually always looking for a partner. It's like one of the big themes of a
Always.
North Node first house and a North Node Aries is the partnership and the feeling like you really need to have a partner in order to like actually be fulfilled. And like actually like a lot of times people with like North Node in Aries or North Node in first house even feel like they can't really like achieve all of their dreams or all of their goals until they find that partner, that person that they can build with.
This whole time of not being present for my work as I was releasing it, and I remember the release for my book Spit and Passion was at the Brooklyn Museum of Art, which is awesome. And all I could care about was that my ex was there, and I was like, we're gonna fall in love tonight. I wish I could have just been
there for your
the
stuff.
work.
I mentioned this before we started filming, but like you have a lot of planets in retrograde, which is super interesting to me because I feel like on this like surface level, you're definitely really into like finding a partner, like the romance, the like crushes, the exes, the breakups, right? But you've mentioned already that you like, even while you're going through all that emotional stuff, you're still creating art and you're still going to shows and you're still having like this big career happen. And for me, like it kind of feels like there's something behind you. It's like all of your grandmas are behind you being like, lo vas a hacer,
Lo vas a hacer. And then
like
just
I don't
ponte
care.
suerte,
Yeah.
cómete la
Te lo vas a
comida
ir.
y sale de la cama y vete al show.
Exactly.
Porque fulanito no te va a llamar. Fulanito no te va a llamar hoy.
Y no te va a llamar mañana
Y
tampoco.
no te va a llamar el día
Pero
después.
vas a estar en el show. And it's porque you have like a really big, like all this retrograde energy is really like a lot of your ancestry and a lot of your roots built up behind you that really want to be expressed.
I look back at a lot of the love drama and like those relationships just were not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And like it's funny because the more connected to the ancestry, connected to my work, the more grounded, the more evolved I feel, the more I'm like able to not be obsessed and not look for love constantly.
What are you looking for next? I know that you have Choked Up playing in New York on
Choked
April
Up,
12th.
April 12th, with Mint Green from Boston, who are really awesome, and Gibbons, who is Wes and Rachel from Choked Up, their
Yeah.
band,
That's
who are
awesome.
awesome. And
Yeah.
it's like, yes, it's good.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you did this.
Yeah.
You have no idea. Like
Thank you
ever
for having me.
Absolutely.
I love that we talked more about my Cancer and Aries and not Gemini. Because
You
do
know.
we even need to talk about her?
Gemini is always present.
She's here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Con mucho, mucho amor.
Beso sencillo.
There you go.